Hey, welcome back to Daybreak Live for a Thursday morning, the 10th day of March, 42 degrees in downtown Sylacauga. We're joined again by Patrick McDonald, and we got the Big Fish production coming up starting tonight, Patrick.
Starts tonight, so everybody needs to get your tickets now because if you've been holding off, there is no more time.
It's it.
This is it.
Time. Three shows?
3 shows this weekend.
Okay.
It's the 10th, 11th, and 12th, and then 2 shows next weekend, the 18th and 19th. We encourage everybody to come out. It is going to be an event that, like you've never seen before. It's a great musical.
Tell us about the Big Fish.
Big Fish started off as a book written by Daniel Wallace over in out of Birmingham, out of Hoover. It was then turned into a movie by Tim Burton, and then later on they took the best of the book and the best of the movie and made a musical out of it that has similar themes, but it really carries through a lot of the relationships that you don't see in the movie brought through as big. The movie is a lot of special effects and kind of creepy at times. We're not creepy on stage. We're having a great time.
Hey,
it is
we're creepy enough here, right?
Well, you know, it's a bigger than life musical, and so if you think, oh, I saw the movie, I don't want to see it. Yeah, you do want to see this musical. Because the musical is vastly different from either the movie or the book, because it's taken the best out of it and then added to it. It is so much better than either one.
Now, you mentioned musical. Describe a musical.
Well, there are some musicals where you talk and you have dialogue like we're having here, but and then all of a sudden you just break out into song and dance. This is more along the lines of when the characters are interacting with each other, they're speaking very often to set up the situations, but when you need to see inside their hearts, when you need to see what's happening inside their heads, when you want to see their real emotions, the songs come out. It really is... It is much more classical musical than the modern showstopper musical. And so what it means is that every line in the show is important. Every line that's sung, every line that's spoken, they're all contributing to the story instead of just kind of stopping the story so we can dance and sing for you.
Now, you had a great night last night. Right?
We did. We had our dress rehearsal last night. Things are going swimmingly, if I can say that about Big Fish. And
I kind of like that.
Well, you know, sometimes you can just pop a pun right there. Yeah, we had a great rehearsal last night. The cast is ready to go, and we are furthest along and readiest to go I think I've ever put on stage. This has been a great rehearsal time, and we're fighting against the same things everybody else is fighting against: severe weather, cold weather, COVID, and all that to put this on. But everything's ready to go, and it is a great show.
Talk about the cast a little bit.
The cast is amazingly talented. We have Michael Giddens, who's playing our lead, Edward Bloom, Isabella Powell is playing our lead actress, Sandra Bloom, and then Michael Vick is playing Will Bloom, Edward's son, and he's getting married to a character named Josephine, who is being played by Celia Blanchard. The rest of the cast, I mean, we have several named roles, but what happens is everybody is singing in the ensemble, and then they just kind of emerge in character and then go back into the ensemble again. But those 4 are the ones who are out front in character all the time. All the rest of the ensemble, the rest of the 21 people on stage are playing those characters when they're called for, because everything is told real present day and then flashback. And so you've got a lot of time switching, but it's very easy to pick up which time is real and which time is in Edward's memory.
What does it take to become a lead character?
Well, I know my leads would tell you got to memorize a lot right up front because they have to be familiar with their lines probably earlier than everybody else does.
Did they know the other people's lines too?
Yeah, most of the time.
Wow.
Yeah, you rehearse it so much, you know what the other person's going to say. And what that does is, in live theater, you know, when you're on TV and you're not doing a live show like you do, you know, you've got editing that can happen. You have all that post-production that can happen.
You can fix it, can't you?
You can fix it. You can do 20 takes on the scene if you want to. Yeah. You know, in live theater, just like live television, you've got one chance every night to do it. And so if something goes wrong, then everybody just has to adjust. And I tell my cast, you know, we don't try to make those times happen, but you never tell the story about this show that went perfectly.
Yeah.
You always tell the stories about, oh, do you remember when this happened? And that's what everybody tells, are the stories where you have to improvise. So you have to know everything that's going on around you. You do know everybody else's line in that scene, because if they miss it, or if something happens and you have to work around it, then you know what the scene has to accomplish, and you're able to carry it through. So that's why we rehearse it so much, so that when something happens, the actor's just not stuck out there on an iceberg.
I've thought about writing a book on snafus in local live television news.
I bet you could write it pretty long.
How can people get tickets, and tell us about the event again?
Okay, it is Big Fish at B.B. Comer High School Auditorium tonight, March 10th, 11th, 12th, the 18th and 19th at 7 p.m. You can get your tickets at sdpac.net. That's sdpac.net. There's a link right at the top of that homepage to click to get Big Fish tickets. There will also most likely be tickets at the door. Okay. So if you've held off, just come on. I believe we'll have plenty of tickets at the door for you.
Okay. Now, you talked about the cast of some 20 or so on stage, but it takes a lot of background work too.
Oh yes, we've got at least 15 or 20 people backstage over the course of the entire production. Well, you've got costuming. Costuming is big in this one, because every character, every ensemble character has multiple costumes.
Wow.
So when we're putting 25 people on stage, we have, I think, in the neighborhood of 120 different costumes. You've got wigs and all those things to change the characters up. Then we've got all the set that has to be built. And because we're moving into the high school auditorium, a lot of that has to be built once we are in the contract and into the production. So we build that about 2 weeks out, and we begin rehearsing with all those sets and backdrops then. We've got people up in the booth that are running the lights, the sound, the music. We have people backstage to make sure everybody's hitting their spots and ready to come on at the right times, and that all the set pieces are moving on and off. We don't have any gaps in the show, so it's not like we black out, wait for 5 minutes while we reset the next scene, and then you go on to the next scene. There are no blackouts. Wow. Well, a 5-second blackout to show you we're changing time zones now. We're going from the past to the present, or we're moving in some way. But it's a 5 to 10 second blackout, and then you're right back up into the action. So what's happening very often is we'll have the action happening over here on this side, and then while that's happening, the stage crew or the other cast members are moving another set piece over here, because our next scene is going to play on the other side. So we do what's called crossfading with the lights to make sure that part of the stage is dark, part of the stage is light, and we're able to reset the scenes as we go.
I could just imagine behind the scenes. I mean, you got to be time conscious.
Oh, absolutely. And you're listening to everything that's happening on stage. You know exactly where the songs are coming on, where they're going off. We're communicating over radio and saying, okay, we're just about to bring this set piece on. When the light clears, we're going to bring it on. And all of that's happening behind the scenes. It really is kind of like a duck on a pond. You have all that action that's happening up under the surface, and the duck just looks like it's moving smoothly across. That's what we're trying to make for our actors. We want our actors to be able to walk over and know that when their set piece is supposed to be here, that set piece is going to be there. It's going to be in the same place every night, and they're able to perform the scene, because everything we do back behind the scenes is to make the actors look good. Sure. It's to make them comfortable on stage, and they can tell the story, and they can really let the let the audience have that immersive experience, because the audience is a vital part of a musical production. All the feedback they give us, and the laughter and the clapping and all of that, it just feeds the actors, and it really is bigger than anything that you can go and see on the screen, either on your home screen or on the big IMAX screens at the theater. Musical theater, theater in general, musical theater in particular, is interactive with the audience, and you really, there's a dynamic there you can't get anywhere else.
Compare, Patrick, you know, our community, Sylacauga and surrounding area, and other parts of the state. You know, these musical theater productions, they're not as many as you think they are, and it takes a special group to put this together.
Well, yeah, and we're blessed here. We have so much talent. That's one of the reasons that at Southern Dance and Performing Arts, SDPAC, we decided to start teaching musical theater, because we have so many musical theater programs, and with the people I've worked with, there are so many talented actors and actresses, singers, all of these talents that can go into it, that we support, I think, 3 or 4 different theaters in the area right now, and you know, it really is incredible the amount of talent here. Most places, you know, very large places have one theater. And you know, here in Sylacauga, we are so blessed that we can really have these shows coming up all the time, really. So people can get involved with the arts. They can come in and try their wings on stage.
Who can get involved?
Everybody can get involved. What I love about theater is there is no physical limitation. You know, if you go out and you say, I want to go out and play basketball in front of everybody, there is something I can tell you. This kind of guy does not play basketball in front of everybody. I don't get a spot on the team. A theater, it doesn't matter if you have a disability. It doesn't matter if you have nerves. It doesn't matter if you have never done it before in your life. You can be taught that, and you can be taught to act well. You just have to practice it and rehearse it. That's why we do the classes. That's why we have the productions, so that people can try out all those skills that they're learning in the classroom or behind the scenes.
Do you have people that have performed here, that started here, that have gone on to bigger and better things?
Oh, certainly, yeah. We've got several alumni from the different theater programs who are have gone to university on theater scholarships.
Wow.
You know, you think about football scholarships and cheerleading and dance team scholarships and band scholarships, but the theater programs at the major universities in our state they have theater scholarships that go unclaimed every year. And so one of our sponsors for this show, well, it has been a sponsor in the past. Sorry, I'm giving a plug to somebody who may not be sponsoring us this year, but I think they
should be.
University of North Alabama, because they actually are recruiting. My son is graduating from the University of North Alabama, my oldest son, in theater tech. He's graduating in sound and lights and making all those technical theater happen. So they do come recruiting from the community theaters, because they're looking for talent. They're looking for people they can put on stage.
Amazing.
Yeah,
Wow.
And we've had people come from here that have gone into lead roles at University of North Alabama, at Montevallo. They have done things in Auburn and Alabama Shakespeare Festival. Actors from here are going to these places and holding themselves well.
Absolutely. Patrick McDonald, who is with us this morning. Big Fish presentation tonight, tomorrow night, and Saturday. And you got presentations next week too,
Friday
right?
and Saturday night next week.
Okay. And it starts what, 7 o'clock?
7 o'clock every single night. Doors will open at 6:30. So come on in, and you'll have a great show.
Tickets $15, and how can they get their tickets again?
SDPAC.net. That's SDPAC.net. You can go click the link at the top, or bring your cash, bring your credit card, and we'll sell you a ticket at the door.
All right. Before we go this morning, I've never asked you this question, so it's not in my notes or anything like that. As a matter of fact, I can't read my notes. But what drives you? What gives you a high or thrill about programs and musicals like this?
You know, it is really seeing the development. I mean, I auditioned every person up there on stage, and I can tell you, to every person, even when they were great coming in, they have improved and they've gotten greater telling the story. Because ultimately, as a director, I'm a storyteller. I get to tell the story and put it on stage. And what I love in theater is that the story I have in my mind, how I want it on stage, it really grows because each of the characters each of the actors learns their character, and they actually know the characters better than I do now. They know what motivates them. And so I see that growth, and I love the storytelling. I love to come out there. And for the actors, the biggest payoff is that we've gone through 10 weeks of work. Some of them have been through 14 weeks of work for dancing. And they come out there and the payoff is the applause. Because, I mean, think about it. How many times in your life do you stand up in front of everybody and people applaud the work that you're doing?
That's a high, isn't it?
It really is. And it's like no other. Yeah. There's excitement coming in, and then there's the applause, the payoff at the end. That is the reason people go on stage, is because, you know, in my job, in your job, most of the time when people come up to you, they're not applauding you. They're saying, you need to take care of this.
Mess this up.
Exactly. That's the way we all live. And so to be able to get up on stage and work and work and work, and it's work that's so big you couldn't get paid to do it at this level, but you'll get up there and people are applauding what's been happening. The backstage crew gets the applause, the people on stage get the applause. Everybody shares in that moment of triumph.
Fantastic. You got some other musicals in the till for later?
We have not announced our next season yet, but we do have one more show this summer. It will not be a musical, it's a stage play. So that means we are not going to be singing and dancing on stage, but we can get more deep into the characters. It will be doing the importance of being earnest. Look for details coming out on that soon.
All right. Again, Big Fish. Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, the beautiful B.B. Comer High School Auditorium. Not a bad seat in the house. Tickets $15, 7 o'clock, and we'll see you there. Patrick, thanks for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me.
More Daybreak right after this.